Stoicism is not a dusty relic of ancient times. It's a living, breathing philosophy that continues to speak powerfully to modern hearts and minds. Grounded in reason, fortified by virtue, and tested in some of history's most turbulent circumstances, Stoicism offers a roadmap for navigating life's highs and lows with composure, integrity, and grace. Through the teachings of Zeno, Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and other notable Stoics, we learn that true freedom lies not in our external conditions, but in our capacity for self-mastery. Stoicism endures because it strikes at the core of enduring questions. What is the nature of a well-lived life? How do we remain resilient amidst uncertainty and hardship? How can we cultivate virtue in a seemingly chaotic world? The answers that Stoicism provides are as relevant today, amid our digital hum and global challenges, as they were when Zeno taught in the Stoa Poikile. Picture yourself cast away from all that you hold dear, dispossessed of money, stripped of status, and thrust into a foreign land. Such was the fate of Zeno of Cyprus, whose journey from wealthy merchant to penniless wanderer turned him into one of the ancient world's most influential philosophers. After losing his fortune in a shipwreck, he found himself in Athens, sorrowful but curious, where he drifted into a local bookshop. It was there that he discovered the works of Socrates. In that moment, a spark was lit. Zeno felt compelled to dive deeper into philosophy. He sought out the sharpest thinkers, devoured knowledge about reason, ethics, and nature, and gathered students in a stoa, a covered walkway or colonnade, to share insights about how best to live. So, Stoicism was born, a practical approach to life that teaches us to focus on what we can control and to greet both fortune and misfortune with equanimity. Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant. Cleanthes, successor to Zeno. Cleanthes' words capture the spirit of Stoicism that originated in that painted porch of Athens. Over the centuries, other bright minds, including Chrysippus, who systematized Stoic logic, ethics, and physics, contributed to this emerging school. Ultimately, Stoicism found some of its most eloquent champions in Roman statesmen and emperors, each striving to embody these teachings in a rapidly changing world. Zeno and the birth of Stoicism. Zeno, 334 to 262 BCE, gathered followers in the Stoa Poikile, a bustling space adorned with vivid frescoes. There, he formulated the cardinal Stoic belief: external events lie largely beyond our control, but our judgment and choices remain ours alone. This realization endows us with agency over our emotional well-being. Man conquers the world by conquering himself. If you are enjoying this video, please consider liking, subscribing, or sharing. It helps the channel immensely. Thank you. Zeno's message spread quickly. Athens was then a crucible of philosophical thought, hosting rival schools like Plato's Academy and Aristotle's Lyceum. Yet Stoicism stood out for its practical orientation. It did not merely dwell on metaphysical speculation, but taught how to live nobly in a turbulent world. Early Stoics divided their philosophy into three interlinked disciplines: logic, the art of correct reasoning; physics, the study of nature encompassing everything from the cosmos to the human soul; ethics, the blueprint for right living underpinned by the belief that virtue is the only true good. Chrysippus famously expanded Stoic logic, ensuring that reason itself was the keystone of the entire system. He argued that if our mental process is clear and unwaveringly rational, our actions and moral judgments will follow suit. All Stoic ethics revolve around the Four Cardinal Virtues, which the school inherited and refined from the broader Greek tradition. Practical wisdom, the ability to discern the best course of action in any situation, guided by reason rather than emotion. Look well into thyself, there is a source of strength which will always spring up if thou wilt always look. Marcus Aurelius. Temperance, the discipline to maintain balance and moderation, to refrain from indulging in excess. If one oversteps the bounds of moderation, the greatest pleasures cease to please. Epictetus. Justice and the commitment to fairness, honesty, and altruism extending from personal relationships to society at large. Do not act as if thou wert going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over thee. While thou livest, while it is in thy power, be good. Marcus Aurelius. Courage. The fortitude to confront adversity, external challenges, and inner struggles without surrendering. Sometimes even to live is an act of courage. Seneca. C.E. lived under the shadow of Emperor Nero, who was infamous for political repression and cruelty. Yet Seneca's letters and philosophical works, on anger, on the shortness of life, epistles, reflect a calm, measured approach. He acknowledged that misfortune, be it imprisonment or exile, can strike at any moment, but insisted it need not destroy our peace of mind. No man was ever wise by chance. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Seneca, Epistulae Morales, ad Lucilium. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, provides one of history's most striking examples of Stoicism under pressure. During his reign, Marcus confronted plague, constant warfare on the empire's borders, and immense personal loss. Yet in his personal diary, published posthumously as the Meditations, he reminds himself, and us, that peace originates from within. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations. Epictetus began life as a slave, experiencing firsthand how little one can control in external circumstances. Nonetheless, he insisted that true freedom resides in our capacity for self-discipline and rational thought. We are disturbed not by things, but by the views which we take of them. Epictetus, Enchiridion. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. His lessons, preserved in works such as the Discourses and the Enchiridion Handbook, highlight a profound paradox. While our bodies and fortunes may be shackled by fate or circumstance, our minds can remain invincible if we choose to guard our judgments and passions. While many Stoics wrote in private or spoke in philosophical circles, Marcus Aurelius was uniquely positioned to enact Stoic virtues on an imperial scale. Despite ruling the vast Roman Empire, he dedicated himself to humility and fairness, imploring himself to avoid flattery and treat all people justly. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. His example transcends centuries. Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for 27 years, found resilience and solace in Aurelius' reflections on self-discipline and moral duty. Reading Stoic texts helped him maintain mental clarity and unwavering moral purpose. Epictetus repeatedly emphasized that the root of suffering is not in external events, but in our judgments about those events. This concept profoundly influenced Viktor Frankl, an Austrian psychiatrist who survived Nazi concentration camps. In his groundbreaking work, Man's Search for Meaning, Frankl argues that even under extreme oppression, individuals can discover purpose and maintain inner liberty by choosing how to interpret their situation. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response, often attributed to Frankl, reflecting Stoic principles. Such insights highlight the continued relevance of Stoic thought. By reshaping our perspective, we learn to accept what we cannot control while taking deliberate ownership of our reactions. After the Hellenistic period ended and Rome's fortunes rose and fell, formal Stoic schools waned. Yet the ideas remained, merging into Christian moral thought and later emerging in Renaissance humanism. Philosophers such as Michel de Montaigne and René Descartes absorbed and transformed Stoic principles to inform their own works on the nature of reason and selfhood. Cling tooth and nail, as it were, to the following rule: not to give way to any adversity, to trust in no prosperity, always to consider that fortune may turn away. Seneca, On consolation to Helvia, contemporary psychological techniques often mirror Stoic practices. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, which focuses on identifying and correcting distorted thought patterns, traces a direct lineage to Epictetus. Cognitive therapists emphasize precisely what Epictetus taught. Challenge your assumptions, test your fears, and recognize that how you interpret events drives your emotional response. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the principles and notions which they form concerning things. Epictetus, Enchiridion. Stoicism also converges with Buddhist and Hindu ideas about detachment, acceptance, and the fluid nature of reality. Where Buddhists seek to extinguish suffering by recognizing desire's impermanence, Stoics encourage freedom from unhealthy passions or destructive emotional overreactions by trusting in reason and accepting events as part of nature's rational order, logos. Both traditions converge in their aspiration for inner tranquility and mental clarity. Stoicism stands apart from many philosophies by offering not just abstract theories, but also practical exercises to reshape our character. Its methods, tested across centuries, can be readily adapted to modern life. Journaling for clarity, following Marcus Aurelius, who penned nightly thoughts in his meditations, we can gain distance from our daily anxieties by writing down our reflections. What tested your patience today? Where did you fail to live up to your virtues? What lessons did you learn? When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love, often attributed to Marcus Aurelius. Practicing gratitude. Each new day is an opportunity to reflect on what we do have, rather than lamenting what we lack. The Stoics remind us that life is transient and uncertain. Acknowledging small joys can anchor us in the present. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. Epictetus. Identify your fears and systematically confront them. Seneca recommended preparation for adversity, occasionally rehearsing the worst-case scenario to reduce its psychological hold on us. He even suggested practicing voluntary discomfort, such as brief periods of fasting or sleeping on a hard floor, to prove to oneself that many of our fears are exaggerated. It is in times of security that the spirit should be preparing itself to deal with different times. Stoics recognize that human beings are social creatures linked by shared reason. Consequently, upholding justice is not merely a personal virtue, but a moral imperative that cements social bonds. Treat people fairly, refrain from gossip, and speak truthfully even in small daily interactions. What injures the hive injures the bee. Marcus Aurelius. Meditations. Developing emotional resilience. When misfortune strikes, remind yourself, what is in my control and what isn't? By focusing on your attitudes, choices, and effort, you reclaim a sense of self-determination and quell needless anguish. The chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control and which have to do with the choices I actually control. Epictetus, Discourses. To truly immerse yourself in Stoicism, consider the following longer excerpts from the Stoic canon. Reading them in full context often reveals subtleties lost in isolated quotes. Seneca's on the shortness of life. It is not that we have a short space of time, but that we waste much of it. In this essay, Seneca reminds us how fleeting life is and cautions us not to squander it on trivial pursuits. He urges reflection on mortality as a spur to live meaningfully. Epictetus, Enchiridion. Some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us. Our opinions are up to us, and our impulses, desires, aversions, in short, whatever is our own doing. This short manual lays out the crux of Epictetus's thought: master what is in your power and don't fret over the rest. It provides a handy reference for daily reflection. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. Don't behave as if you're destined to live forever. What's fated hangs over you. As long as you live, while it is in your power, be good. Marcus's Meditations, written primarily as a private journal, conveys the intimate struggles of an emperor trying to uphold virtue and composure under immense pressure. Seneca's letters to Lucilius, also known as Epistulae Morales ad Lucilium. Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. These letters offer a wide-ranging exploration of ethics, interpersonal relationships, grief, anger, and the quest for self-improvement. Remember that you ought to behave in life as you would at a banquet. Something is being passed around and comes to you. Stretch out your hand and take it politely. It goes away. Do not hold it back. The discourses expand on the Enchiridian's concise guidance, showing Epictetus's interactive teaching style as he dialogues with students about freedom, responsibility, and courage. As we reflect on the legacy of Stoicism, from its birth in a modest Athenian colonnade under Zeno's guidance, to its development under great thinkers like Chrysippus, Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, one truth shines through. The human quest for inner peace and ethical living is timeless. These philosophers grappled with tyranny, poverty, war, betrayal, and personal loss. Yet they found in Stoicism an unshakable foundation for leading lives of integrity and tranquility. Stoicism's popularity in our modern era testifies to its enduring relevance. In an age overflowing with distractions and anxieties, Stoicism cuts through the noise, teaching us that serenity is not the absence of challenges, but the ability to face them with courage and composure. Though centuries separate us from the era of the painted porch in Athens, the Stoic promise remains. By curbing destructive passions, embracing rational thought, and steadfastly developing virtue, we can discover a wellspring of resilience within. The mind that is anxious about future events is miserable. Seneca. Ultimately, Stoicism calls each of us to transform our perspective, to see obstacles not as insurmountable roadblocks, but as opportunities to forge character. Ask yourself, how might you reframe your own hardships as invitations to grow in courage, patience, and wisdom? In what ways can you practice justice more faithfully in your daily interactions? How could you foster gratitude and compassion even when the world seems harsh or indifferent? Let these questions spark a personal inquiry. While Stoicism began with a shipwrecked merchant named Zeno, its journey is far from over. Each of us can take up this philosophy and bring it to life, journaling our fears, curbing our desires, practicing compassion, and learning that true freedom arises when we master ourselves rather than the world around us. If we learn to cherish virtue more than fleeting pleasures, we may discover, to our enduring benefit, that Stoicism offers a timeless compass for finding equanimity in an ever-changing sea. Thank you for joining this deeper exploration of Stoicism. May the wisdom of Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, and Zeno illuminate your path and empower you to live with greater peace, purpose, and enduring resilience, whatever fortune may bring. Before you go, consider this. Which ancient words might yet hold the key to your most profound question? Watch the next video to embark on another quest through history's ancient wisdom.